Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. The senators and all in attendance will please stand and be led in prayer by the Honorable George L. Barker, 39th Senatorial District. Following the prayer, all will please remain standing and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America by Nathan Hatfield, Assistant Clerk, Links, Senate Clerk's Office.
Let us pray. Oh God, I thank you for each and every one of us who are here today. I appreciate greatly my colleagues in the Senate, and we collectively appreciate the opportunity to work together on the great responsibility entrusted to us to make our Commonwealth good for all Virginians. Please help us to reach agreement to solutions to challenges we face so that we can help value the future of all Virginians and rectify damage from our past so that all Virginians are one. We have weeks to go before we leave. Please help us as we work hard and that we leave proud of what we have done, who we have helped, and how we have done it. For all the people of Virginia, amen.
Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the rules of the Senate be suspended to allow certain members to be able to vote consistent with the motion originally distributed on the first day of session.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended? All in favor of suspending the rules will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll. Ayes 37, noes 0. The rules are suspended. The clerk will call the roll. All those in attendance will please record their vote aye.
Senator Norman, how do you vote? Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Senator Norman?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Thank you.
The clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Mr. President. Senate Journal for Friday, January 29, 2021.
Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Vogel, Senator Norman, how do you vote? Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Senator Norman?
And I bet he does too.
Senator Norman votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, nays 5.
Ayes 34, noes 5. The reading of the journal is waived. Clerk will report any communication from the House of Delegates. The senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move we waive the reading of the communications from the House.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates be waived? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Okay, well, a little technical glitch here, so.
Good.
Question is, shall the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates be waived? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote? Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Thank you.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 4.
Ayes 35, noes 4. The reading of the communication from the House of Delegates is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the governor.
We do not have any, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any other business to come before the Senate in the morning hour? Do any senators wish to be recognized? Seeing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Monday, February 1st, 2021. Uncontested calendar. House bill on third reading. House Bill 2333, a bill to facilitate the administration of the COVID-19 vaccine emergency. reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute. And there is a floor amendment.
Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that that we agree with the committee substitute, and I don't know about the floor amendment.
You do the substitute first.
Okay. Senator
Yes.
moves the committee substitute. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking to the floor amendment.
Does the senator want to waive the reading?
Yes, Mr. President, I would love to waive the reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendment be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendment is waived. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. As this bill was coming out of Education and Health, there was an adjustment that needed to be made that was not amended in the committee. It simply strikes language on line 110 that specifies only rescue squads or centers that have full-time employed EMTs and other medical staff could provide these services. And there are localities that have only volunteer, and they wanted us to clarify that language. And that is the amendment, Mr. President. And I move we accept it.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall the floor amendment be
Mr. President, can this go by temporarily?
without objection? Without objection, House Bill 2333 will go by temporarily.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on third reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate bills on third reading on the uncontested calendar, pages 2 through 7, that's Senate Bill 1119 through, Senate Bill 1453, be placed on their final passage in a block. Any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested calendar, third reading, pages 2 through 7, Senate Bill 1119 through Senate Bill 1453, be placed upon their final passage in the block with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 1119, Senate Bill 1125, Senate Bill 1135, Senate Bill 1143, Senate Bill 1188, Senate Bill 1193, Senate Bill 1279, Senate Bill 1331, Senate Bill 1417, Senate Bill 1423, Senate Bill 1453, and there are 2 floor amendments on that bill.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move that we reconsider the vote by which the bill was ordered to be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Sorry, Senator. For right now, can we just take this one out of the block and then we'll return to it?
I move this bill be taken out of the block.
Thank the senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 1453 will be removed from the block. Question is, shall the remaining bills in the block pass? All in favor of passage of the bills will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 0.
Ayes 38, noes 0. The bills in the block pass.
Returning to 1453.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Yeah, Mr. President, I move that we reconsider the vote by which the bill was ordered to be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the vote by which the bill was ordered engrossed in advance to its third reading be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, there's a technical amendment dealing with two of them, dealing with you cannot work in a mine if you're under the age of 18, and deleting the requirement that if there's any doubt, you have to show a birth certificate. So with that explanation, I move that we waive the reading of the floor amendment.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
I move that we agree to adopt the floor amendments.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the floor amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendments are adopted. Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Now, Mr. President, I move that we engross and advance the bill to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading. Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules and dispense with the third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the third constitutional reading be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The rules are suspended and the third constitutional reading is dispensed with. Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, move that the bill pass.
Does anyone want to speak to it?
Yeah, it's a Code Commission bill. It's 10,786, I believe, lines, 177 pages. I'll be happy to read every single page. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1453? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1453 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. Senate Bill 1453 passes.
Mr. President.
Senator from Williamsburg, Senator Mason.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, having voted on the prevailing side by which we approved the block of bills from page 2 to page 6 a moment ago, I would like to motion reconsideration so a member can cast their vote.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the vote by which the bills and the block passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The motion is agreed to.
Mr. President?
Senator from Alexandria, Senator Abbott.
I move that the bills in the block pass.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bills in the block pass? All in favor of passage of the bills will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The bills in the block pass.
Page 7, regular calendar, Senate bills on third reading. Senate Bill 1403, a bill relating to sales tax exemption for personal protective equipment emergency.
Senator from Washington, Senator Pillion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass and speaking the motion.
Senator, the floor.
Mr. President, Senate Bill 1403 establishes a limited and specific sales tax exemption for PPE for any business that has a COVID-19 safety protocol in place.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does Senator from Loudoun County, Senator Bell, rise?
Speaking to the bill.
Senator, the floor.
I'm going to try not to get choked up like the senator from Washington. This is a fine bill. I think it provides some relief to many businesses who are trying to get personal protective equipment. I think this is a good measure and ask all of you to support it. And I promise I won't cry if you do. Thank you.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1403? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1403 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 0, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 38, noes 0, Rule 36-1. Senate Bill 1403 passes.
Senate Bill 1366, a bill relating to aging services, economic and social need.
Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker.
Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 1366 pass. And speaking to that measure.
Senator, has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This deals with the services provided to elderly persons in the Commonwealth. There's language in here. In the current code, there's listing of services that are provided to a number of elderly people. What this does is it adds to it two things. One is two categories of needs that individuals who are elderly have that could justify the provision of these services. There's an economic need listed, which deals with poverty level, and a social need listed, which deals with physical and mental disabilities, the language barriers, and cultural, social, or geographic isolation. And what it does then further in the bill is to indicate that the persons who would receive services with the resources that are available to provide the services would be those who have the greatest economic needs and those who have the greatest social needs. And I think this is a good bill that should hopefully will pass here. So thank you.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1366? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1366 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 23, noes 16.
Ayes 23, noes 16. Senate Bill 1366 passes.
Senate Bill 1393, a bill relating to replacement and conservation of trees during development.
Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass, and speaking to that.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The original bill, in working with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, would have given local government the authority to increase the standards for tree replacement in a development process. The committee thought it would be better to study this for a year, so the bill now just states that the Secretary of Natural Resources and the Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry will convene a stakeholder group in the off-season, and we'll take a look at this next year based on their findings. So again, I move that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1393? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1393 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes no.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 26, noes 13.
Ayes 26, noes 13. Senate Bill 1393 passes.
Senate Bill 1103, a bill relating to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, Virginia Parole Board member votes.
Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate pass Senate Bill 1103. Speaking to that motion.
Senator, the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 1103, or 1103 rather. We haven't had that many bills. Senate Bill 1103 will provide that the Virginia Parole Board's votes will be public, just like the votes of every other board and commission in the Commonwealth of Virginia. They have very serious actions before us, and we've all seen the reports, but the record keeping was not very good. Well, you can't expect people to take very good records if they're not even recording their actual votes. So I hope that this will be the pleasure of the body to pass this on a strong bipartisan vote, just like we did a few months ago.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1103? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1103 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 6.
Ayes 33, noes 6. Senate Bill 1103 passes.
Senate Bill 1108, a bill relating to general district courts, jurisdictional limits, appeal bond, emergency.
Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate Bill 1108 pass. And speaking to that motion,
Senator has the floor.
It looks like I had a lot of files today, and I put them underneath my microphone. I couldn't get it out. So, Mr. President, Senate Bill 1108 pertains to the jurisdictional limits in civil cases in our general district courts. Right now, as you know, we're in the midst of a pandemic, and that pandemic has caused many of our circuit courts to have to shut down and not have jury trials. And that has created a backlog of hundreds of thousands of cases. And so what this bill seeks to do is to raise the jurisdictional civil limits in very limited circumstances. The current jurisdictional limit for general district court is $25,000. This piece of legislation would double that to $50,000, but only in cases of personal injury or wrongful death. Hopefully with that, then that can take and ease some of the burden that's on our circuit courts as well, and it would improve and increase access for those litigants who may not be able to afford an attorney to actually have their cases decided in the general district courts. It also provides that if there is a judgment in a general district court in favor of a plaintiff in those type of instances where insurance coverage is afforded, that if the insurance company then appeals it, they must, just like every other Virginian, post a bond in the amount of the judgment in order to enact the appeal up in the circuit court. And so that's the bill, Mr. President, and I renew now my motion that Senate Bill 1108 pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1108? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1108 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes no.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 4.
Ayes 35, noes 4. Senate Bill 1108 passes.
Senate Bill 1115, a bill relating to industrial hemp emergency.
Senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peake.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. This bill brings the Virginia in compliance with USDA, which has the negligence level now up to 1%. Virginia had been 0.3%, and this bill will indicate that growers of hemp will not be prosecuted if their crop grows hot, is what they call it, which takes it up to 1%. So it'll protect them for crops that grow between 3% and 1%. And I move that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1115? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1115 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. Senate Bill 1115 passes.
Senate Bill 1148, a bill relating to elections, date of June primary election.
Junior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Kiggins.
Mr. President, I move passage of Senate Bill 1148 and speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this is the same bill that we saw last session. It's a school safety bill that simply pushes back the date of the June primary election so that it does not conflict with the school year. So students will no longer be in school, so we don't run into people that are coming in and out of our schools to vote, and then and parents that are there for teacher conferences and that type of thing. People are wanting to use the restrooms and going into areas where there possibly might be students. So again, school safety bill, the same as we saw last year.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Surville, rise?
Speaking to the bill, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't notice this was on the docket until a minute ago, but I guess we'll have our annual debate about this issue. I think this is the third year in a row this bill's come up, and it's still a bad idea for the reasons we've killed it before. First of all, I can't, if anybody here can remind me of an occasion where there's sort of a criminal incident or a charge or a problem occurring on a primary voting day in a school, I'd like to know when it was, because I've never heard of such an incident. It seems to me that this is a solution in search of a problem, and this mainly has more to do with the convenience of the electoral boards than it has to do with, and then probably the schools to some extent, more than it has to do with actually administering an election. The problem with pushing our primary date back is that as soon as you push it back to when school is out, there's a good chunk of people who go out of town. And there's no question that we've made it a little easier to vote early, but at least in my experience, the electorate is not all that focused on primaries. They're not nearly as well publicized. People don't know they're happening. They're not mentioned in the papers. And many people don't realize there's actually that primary election until it's pretty much already upon them. And at that point, it's frequently too late to either vote by mail or make the arrangements to go vote. And as I've argued before, what I think this bill basically does is ensures that our primary electorate will be much older. It'll be people that don't go out of town. And it's going to basically exclude probably about 2 or 3 decades worth of people who are probably going to be gone on vacation, which is what a lot of people do as soon as their kids leave school. So this doesn't, I don't see this bill as encouraging voter participation. If anything, I think it discourages it. I don't see the need for it. Our system has worked fine for decades using this date. And Mr. President, I just do not see the need for this unless we want our electorate to be older, in which case go ahead and vote for it. But I don't see what problem we're trying to fix here other than the fact the electoral board thinks it would be easier to do this without children in the building.
What purpose is Senator from Northern Chesapeake?
Mr.
Senator
President.
Sproul rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking to the bill.
Senator's the floor.
Mr. President, did you not know that all of us are not young? I know the young folks want to worry about going on vacation. But what's best for the country? What's best for your city? What's best for your state? Let me use Chesapeake for an example. The registrars having problems finding location for people to vote. Because when we go and vote, you got the school buses. We use the same location that the kids go in. They're having all kind of problems. We want to use the bathroom, when you put all your materials down, the kids are there. And some folks who work the polls, we don't know who they are, either side. And yes, we are talking about, and my young friend from Fairfax, he would get old one day. And you got to realize that when you want to go on vacation, plan your vacation after the June primary. This is the good bill. We got to look out for everybody. Yes, God, including an old person like me. Thank you so much.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senior senator from Virginia Beach? Senator D. Staff rise.
Mr. President, speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County said that he had never observed or even heard about any issues at a school when we've had the primaries while kids were in school. Well, actually, I have. Not only have I was there and witnessed it. It was at Christopher Farms Elementary School while I was still on city council. So there was a huge newspaper article on it. It was in the Virginian Pilot. So maybe he wants to use Google, Mr. President, and he can see where not just that comes up there, but a whole bunch of other places where it comes up during schools. And I'm glad that the senator from Chesapeake, I think it's Northern Chesapeake, maybe Southern, stood up and brought up some issues that he noticed as well. Thank you.
For what purpose is the senior senator from Richmond City? Senator McClellan rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the junior senator from Virginia Beach rise for a question?
Will Senator yield?
Yes, Mr. President.
Senator yields. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll preface my question by saying I voted for this bill last year and am inclined to vote for it again this year, but my question is there are school divisions that are considering going to year-round schools, not just because of what's been happening with COVID, but I think in some localities they had already begun to think about that. And so my question would be, if this is a school safety measure and there are school divisions that go year-round, what happens to them?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I don't have a 100% answer, but I'd say we cross that bridge when we come to it. I haven't heard of any schools that are absolutely going to year-round schools, but if and when that does happen, I'm sure we can revisit the issue.
Speaking to the bill, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I mean, I think that the world will not rise or fall based on whether a primary is moved a week later. I believe that most parents or people who make their vacation schedules will factor that in, and we have made it easier for people to vote early and absentee. So if they want to schedule their vacation for the second or the third week of June, they can do that and vote early in April or May. I do have a little bit of a concern, though. If this is a school safety measure, I just want to point out that our school boards, our school districts, and the local registrars can and should be considering school safety when they decide whether or not a polling place should be at a school to begin with. And with the laws that we have passed to allow school divisions to open before Labor Day, that could affect the calendar. And so whether this bill passes or not, I strongly urge the registrars and the school divisions to work together to figure out what is the right thing for them to do for polling places in their area. Thank you, Mr. President.
For what purpose does the senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Speak to the bill.
Senator, the floor.
I'd like to align myself with the remarks of Senator Surville, and I'd like to add one thing. I spent a lifetime working with young people, and I learned one important lesson. It's one thing to instruct somebody, tell somebody, teach somebody. It's another thing to show somebody. And when kids are in school and they're watching their parents and their neighbors come out to vote, it reinforces the need and the strength of democracy. I think it's a good thing to do to give kids that opportunity to see it. And so I would urge you to vote against the bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Do any senators other than the patron wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1148? Seeing none, the junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Kiggins.
Mr. President, just in closing, I'd like to echo the words of the senior senator from Richmond City about the changes we've made to make voting access just easier and more accessible with early voting and absentee ballots. So as far as the vacation argument, I think there are many, many things put in place that will allow for voting for people who can vote. And I also just want to address what the senator from Eastern Fairfax County mentioned about this bill being back. It's back because it passed out of the Senate and the House, so out of both chambers last year, and had a reenactment clause put on it. So that's why the bill is back. Thank you.
Question is, shall Senate Bill 1148 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 27, noes 12.
Ayes 27, noes 12. Senate Bill 1148 passes.
Senate Bill 1245, a bill relating to absentee voting, establishment of drop-off locations, ballot defects, cure process.
Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, I move adoption of the substitute.
I think it's on passage of the bill, Senator.
Oh. I apologize. I was misinformed. This bill simply, 1245, I move passage of the bill.
Senator's the floor.
The bill simply instates permanently in the law two of the measures that we adopted this past special session that were effective only in the 2020 session. Number one, it will require localities to provide drop boxes for the delivery of ballots. And number two, it will allow absentee voters to cure minor defects in their absentee ballot. Again, I would move for the passage of the bill.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1245? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1245 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes nay.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes no.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 18.
Ayes 21, noes 18. Senate Bill 1245 passes.
Senate Bill 1254, a bill relating to sports betting technical amendments.
Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass.
Senator's the floor.
Speaking to the motion, Mr. President, this is the sports betting online technical fix. Through the regulatory process, Lottery identified a number of different issues that we thought we had defined within the bill last year. This bill seeks to clean those up. more clearly defines amateur sports as well as wagering that's allowed on Olympic sports events. It makes clear that casinos can have a kiosk or wagering counter on the premise. So that's sort of a crosswalk that's needed to make sure that fits within the casino bill that passed last year, as well as the sports betting bill, Mr. President. It also clarifies that the casino licenses that were designated for the sports bet don't count against the total cap. Then it also aligns the $250 million threshold to $300 million, so it aligns both the sports betting statute as well as the casino operating statute, Mr. President, and renew my motion that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1254? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1254 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes no.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes no.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 18.
Ayes 21, noes 18. Senate Bill 1254 passes.
Senate Bill 1300, a bill to deed the Board of Local and Regional Jails, to direct the Board of Local and Regional Jails to review services provided to inmates during pregnancy termination, labor and delivery, and postpartum recovery. Report.
Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that this bill pass. And speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is essentially a study. It directs the Board of Local and Regional Jails to convene a group of stakeholders to review the practices that we are currently using in terms of providing pregnancy care to inmates who are pregnant. As you can see, the bill would cover pregnancy and labor and delivery and postpartum recovery. We want to ensure that the services we are providing meet the recommendations that are endorsed by the College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists and by the National Commission on Healthcare, Correctional Healthcare. A report is due back to the General Assembly, and there is an expectation that regulations would be adjusted according to the recommendations. That is an explanation of the bill, and I do hope it passes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman rise?
Mr. President, just speaking briefly of the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I don't disagree with anything the gentlelady said about the bill. You should, I think, just take a quick look at line 24. We are calling out a particular group that must be a part of it that is in addition to the ones that were mentioned before. And number two, we are instilling in this section of the code the idea of abortion. And then in line 40, we are indicating that the board shall adopt regulations consistent with this provision, Mr. Chairman. So that's the reason why I'm opposed to the bill.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1300? Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do want to note that this is only a Section 1 bill, and we try to provide a range of different stakeholders. So the senator from Bedford is correct. We do have those who are advocates for women's reproductive health involved. And I want to also note that Virginia is incarcerating women at a rate of 166 women per 100,000, and that's above the national average of 133 women per 100,000. So our female jail population is actually growing, and I want the body to know that this certainly is an issue we should be concerned about, and we should also be concerned about providing adequate care to our pregnant inmates. With that, Mr. President, again, I renew my motion that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 1300 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote? Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes no.
Senator Norman?
Senator Norman votes no.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 18.
Ayes 21, noes 18. Senate Bill 1300 passes.
Senate Bill 1305, a bill relating to the Virginia Public Procurement Act, construction contracts, subcontractor workforce requirements. And there is a floor amendment.
Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd actually like the bill to go by for the day. I know we had a floor amendment, but the senator from Williamsburg has also taken a look at a potential technical amendment. And so for an opportunity for us to work through that, I'd ask it go by for the day. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 1305 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 1314, a bill relating to Virginia Economic Development Partnership Authority, Office of Education and Labor Market Alignment, establish workforce and higher education alignment.
Senior Senator from Chesterfield County, Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move SB 1314 pass, and speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 1314 seeks to establish an Office of Education and Labor Market Alignment in order to coordinate data analysis on workforce and higher education, and also to translate that data to partners. This bill offers that the data generated by the office will provide insights that empower policymakers and educators to more effectively respond to the talent needs in Virginia's economy. This bill is strongly supported by a variety of stakeholders, including chambers of commerce, SHEV, VEDP, and many others, and I move that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1314? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1314 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 28, noes 11.
Ayes 28, noes 11. Senate Bill 1314 passes.
Senate Bill 1379, a bill relating to Humane Cosmetics Act, civil penalties.
Senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko.
Mr. President, I move the bill pass. Speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill, the Humane Cosmetics Act, prohibits the manufacture, import for profit by any cosmetic manufacturer within the Commonwealth of any cosmetic that the manufacturer knew or reasonably should have known that the cosmetic or component thereof was developed or manufactured using cosmetic animal testing that was conducted on or after January the 1st, 2022. It also prohibits manufacturers from conducting or contracting for cosmetic animal testing after January 1st, 2022. At the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the bill, it prohibits the sale or offer for sale within the Commonwealth, and there are exceptions to this prohibition to protect research required by federal and state regulatory agencies. The language of my bill is supported by both the Personal Care Products Council, which is the cosmetic companies, the hair care products, all those, as well as the animal welfare advocates. The Personal Care Products Council, the leading cosmetic trade association, has approximately 600 member companies, as well as more than 300 individual companies, and has been working with the animal welfare advocates for years on the Humane Cosmetic Act. This ban is consistent with laws already passed in Virginia in 2018, and I ask that you pass the bill.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1379? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1379 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes no.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 24, noes 15.
Ayes 24, noes 15. Senate Bill 1379 passes.
Senate Bill 1387, a bill relating to the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia, eligibility for in-state tuition.
Senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill passed and speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
In the 2020 session, we added language to the code that provided for a group of students who attend Virginia's high schools to be eligible for in-state tuition. As a result, this bill, many of our undocumented students may now attend college paying in-state tuition, but many of our students cannot do it because they are not eligible for state financial aid under the provision. This legislation removes that restriction, establishes that all students shall be afforded the same educational benefits, including access to financial assistance programs administered by the council, the state board, or a public institution of higher education, as any other who is eligible for in-state tuition pursuant to 23.1-502. Our Commonwealth's economy benefits when we have more people who are highly educated, and this is a high priority of the governor. I move the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1387? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1387 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes no.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes no.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 18.
Ayes 21, noes 18. Senate Bill 1387 passes.
Senate Bill 1402, a bill relating to trout fishing in stocked waters.
Senator from Washington, Senator Pillion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this bill would allow for short-term trip fishing licenses to be used for fishing trout.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1402? Seeing none, question is, shall Senate Bill 1402 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Sounds fishy to me, but aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. Senate Bill 1402 passes.
Senate Bill 1412, a bill relating to pet shops, dealers, and dog breeders, employees convicted of animal abuse penalty.
Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that Senate Bill 1412 pass. And speaking to that bill,
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the body. Senate Bill 1412 prevents any pet shop that's in the Commonwealth of Virginia from hiring any person who's been convicted of animal neglect. It also makes sure that any animal, companion animal that is sold to any person at that pet shop accompanies with the buyer of that pet, stating that that person has not also been convicted of animal neglect, or animal abuse. Sorry, it's all on animal abuse. So, Mr. President, one, if you're an officer or an employee, you can't work in a pet store if you've been convicted of animal abuse. Two, if you have been convicted of animal abuse and you try to go into a pet store, and then you try to sign an affidavit that says, I've never been convicted of that, one, you can't go buy the pet, and two, that could be a Class 1 misdemeanor. For those reasons, Mr. President, I renew my motion that Senate Bill 1412 pass.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal, rise?
Would the gentleman yield for a question?
Will Senator yield? Mr. President, I sit right next to him.
Mr. President, I wanted to social distance, so I thought it was safer farther away.
I guess I'll yield.
Senator will yield. You have the floor.
Mr. President, I asked the gentleman in all seriousness, I know there's a lot of bills relating to expungement rolling through, some that were taken up in committee today. If you had your charge of misdemeanor animal cruelty expunged or sealed, would you still be prohibited from working, or would you be required to answer the questions proposed under this statute?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I'd answer the gentleman by saying I think that's a question better answered by the gentleman from Eastern Fairfax, not me. This bill doesn't contemplate whether this charge could be expunged, or if it was, then would it require them to disclose that they had been convicted of that, or would that expungement allow them to sign an affidavit if they're trying to buy a pet saying that they've never been convicted of abuse? Or then they could operate a pet store or work in a pet store. So I don't know the answer to that, but I would hope not. I mean, Mr. President, I would say to my good friend, the gentleman from Hanover, anybody that harms a companion animal doesn't deserve to work where companion animals are adopted, and they don't deserve the love and kindness of a companion animal. I mean, if you think about it, Mr. President, I'd advise the gentleman to say that when you think about somebody who would abuse a dog, then they probably abuse humans. And so they shouldn't be anywhere around them. My kids, your child, or anyone else. And they certainly shouldn't be in a pet store and trying to buy a pet. Further question?
Mr. President, I did not ask the gentleman if you were convicted of assault and battery, should you be able to work at a pet store, but I thank him for his answer. And I would ask the gentleman from Eastern Fairfax if he could respond to the question.
Will the senator yield?
I'll yield.
Mr. President, I asked the gentleman from Eastern Fairfax, is it contemplated in the latest version of the expungement statute that you could have a charge that would prohibit you from working in a pet shop expunged or sealed?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, the way I would answer the gentleman is that the version that passed out of the courts committee today, first of all, I was trying to pull up the sub to give him a line number, but it takes a while with the way the subs are reporting now, but I'm looking up the version that was introduced, and the introduced version, it indicated that, first of all, that records can be disseminated to any employer or prospective employer or its designee where the state or federal law requires the employer to inquire about prior criminal charges or convictions. And so that would seem to allow an employer to gain access to that. There's also language in the substitute on its way to the Finance Committee right now directing the state police to develop regulations to come up with a list of specific employers that can make inquiries on the job application process and gain access to the records afterwards, because there's a lot of different employers like this we probably haven't even thought of that probably need to ask for many different reasons. And so that's the intent of the bill.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask the gentleman a further question.
Further, Senator Yield?
I'll yield.
Senator Yield, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I want to make sure I'm understanding. I thought the latest version going through allowed misdemeanors to be expunged. So if this is a misdemeanor conviction and it's expunged, how would anybody have access to it? Because by definition of expungement, it's destroyed from the state police and from the court.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I look forward to the discussion on Senate Bill 1339 when it comes out of the Finance Committee and is on the floor for us to discuss, knock on wood. But happy to discuss it here. But the legislation that is currently pending distinguishes between expungement and sealing. And the legislation contemplates, for most convictions, sealing, not expungement. So the records are sealed and they're still there. They just can't be seen publicly unless you know to go look or somebody gives you a release to go get them, which is what the idea is. The idea is that if an employer would like to see the record, they can fill out a release signed by the prospective employee and then go get the record where it will be. But if you were to go on the website, the public website, you wouldn't be able to see the existence of that conviction. And again, under the Senate version, that charge could only be sealed after a petition where the Commonwealth Attorney and a judge has an opportunity to evaluate the person, and the person also has to show a series of good behavior, et cetera, before they can even be eligible to file the petition. So that's a long way of saying it's there to be seen if you know to go look for it.
Thank the gentleman, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is Senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peak, rise?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. To ask the patron, the senator from Franklin, a question.
Will Senator yield?
Yes, Mr. President, I'll yield.
Senator Yield, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator. I'm looking at the bill, and this is in all seriousness. This appears to be a lifetime ban on the purchasing or working in a store. So someone who's convicted at the age of 18, at the age of 65 or 70, could never work at a pet store or buy a pet from a pet store. There appears to be no provision for being reformed or rehabilitated. Is that a correct reading of the bill?
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd answer the gentleman by saying this bill merely sets forth that if you've been convicted of a violation of the provisions of 3.26570, you cannot serve as an owner, director, officer, manager, operator, member of staff, or animal caregiver of a pet shop. Second, it says prior to selling or giving for adoption of any dog, a pet shop shall obtain a signed statement from the purchaser or adopter specifying that the person has never been convicted of a violation of 3.26570, which is, of course, animal abuse. So that's the bill, Mr. President. So, yeah, you do bad things to animals, you shouldn't own them.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1412? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1412 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote? Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Is he there?
Sorry, Senator Vogel votes aye.
Senator Norman?
Senator Norman votes no.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 29, noes 10.
Ayes 29, noes 10. Senate Bill 1412 passes.
Senate Bill 1422, a bill relating to voter registration, list maintenance, list of decedents transmitted by State Register of Vital Records.
Junior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Kiggins.
Mr. President, I'd like to move passage of Senate Bill 1422 and speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this bill is a election accuracy bill. It was very interesting. This past weekend, I went to a mass vaccination clinic and sat next to a lady who was helping me. And she actually worked at the Department of Elections and turned out to be the person who's the recipient of a list that, according to code, should be coming monthly to the Department of Elections from the Office of Vital Records. That is a listing of all people who have been deceased or died within the past month so that they can update the registrar for the elections. And so I said to her, well, this is interesting because I have a bill coming up on the floor of the Senate about this very topic. And I said, according to code right now, it says monthly you should be getting this list from the Office of Vital Records. And she's like, oh, no. She's like, we get it every 2 or 3 months, if we're lucky. So I said, well, my bill would make it so that we have every week you get a report. I said, how would that affect your job? And she said, that would actually be a little better because we could spread it out. Currently, she gets sent electronically when she does get this list from the Office of Vital Records. And she has to then compare the list. And she looks up death certificates and sometimes confirms with obituaries. And she said that would actually be better for us so that we could break it up into smaller chunks. And again, just for accuracy, I think we can all agree that we want the most accurate list of registered voters. And especially these days when we have 6 weeks of early voting, prior to an election, it's good that we have a list weekly come in that verifies who's alive and who's not alive. So, and then I asked her as well, would there be any monetary, would this be a cost to you all? And we had, in preparation for the bill as well, talked to the Office of Vital Records, and they confirmed and she confirmed, there's no cost involved. There's already a process in place. It just increases the frequency that they'll be getting this list from the Office of Vital Records. So I think, again, it's an election accuracy bill just to make sure we have the most current list of registered voters when we do go to vote. Thank you.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1422? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1422 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 5.
Ayes 34, noes 5. Senate Bill 1422 passes.
Mr. President,
Senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko.
having voted on the prevailing side of Senate Bill SB 1379, I move to reconsider the vote so that, by which it passed, so that someone can improve her vote on the bill.
Thank the senator, and that's page 13. Question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 1379 passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko.
Having explained the bill previously, I move that we pass the bill.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall Senate Bill 1379 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 27, noes 12.
Ayes 27, noes 12. Senate Bill 1379 passes. Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, could the Senate be in recess until 1:47 and the Senate Republican caucus adjourn to our normal discussion room?
Thank the senator. Without objection? Without objection, the Senate will stand in recess until 1:47 p.m. Come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, just a brief announcement before we get to the second reading, uncontested calendar. Starting tomorrow, all the bills on second reading will go all the way through to final passage, so we can move some of this out. With that, Mr. President, I would move that all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar, pages 15 through 22, that's Senate Bill 1104 through 1464, be advanced to their engrossment and third reading in a block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, and any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar on pages 15 through 22, Senate Bill 1104 through Senate Bill 1464, be engrossed in advance to their third reading in the block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, and that any senator desiring a bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 1104, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with a substitute. There is a floor amendment.
Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Junior Senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and thank you.
Good afternoon, Senator.
Mr. President, I'm removing the floor amendment, please.
Without objection?
Withdrawing the floor amendment, please.
Without objection, the floor amendment is withdrawn. Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third.
They're in the block. So thank the senator.
Senate Bill 1246, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with a substitute.
Mr. President.
Senator from Bass, Senator Deeds.
I request that bill go by one more day. A colleague is working on an amendment.
Thank the senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 1246 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 1176, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator from Mecklenburg, Senator Ruff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1183, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology. Senate Bill 1184, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute.
Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1225, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. Senate Bill 1237, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. Senate Bill 1272, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. Senate Bill 1288, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 1304, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendments.
Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move amendments 1 and 3 in a block.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall committee amendments 1 through 3 be...
Just to clarify, 1
and 3. Sorry, 1 and 3. Thank you, Senator. Question is, shall committee amendments 1 and 3 be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Committee amendments 1 and 3 are agreed to. Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the recommendation that amendment number 2 be rejected, I move the adoption of the amendment and speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This amendment 2 is actually a carryover from the original bill. It would put it in conflict with where the Education Committee's amendments went, and so that's why the recommendation is to reject, in fact, the amendments, Mr. President.
Thank the Senator. With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall committee amendment number 2 be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. Committee amendment number 2 is rejected.
Senate Bill 1327, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute.
Senior Senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this committee substitute.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 1349, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology. Senate Bill 1356, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
The junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Kiggins.
Mr. President, I move the committee substitute for Senate Bill 1356.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 1410, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute.
Senator from Loudoun County, Senator Bell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee substitute.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 1431, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. Senate Bill 1437, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. Senate Bill 1456, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. Senate Bill 1458, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology. And Senate Bill 1464, reported from the Committee on Education and Health.
Question is, shall the Senate bills be engrossed in advance to their third reading? Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can Senate Bill 1288 come out of the block and go by for the day?
That's on page 18, Senator.
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank the Senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 1288 will be removed from the block and will go by for the day. The question is, shall the Senate bills be engrossed in advance to their third reading? That is all bills except for Senate Bills 1246 and 1288. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills are engrossed in advance to their third reading.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on second reading. Senate Bill 1165, a bill relating to abolition of the death penalty. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute, and there are 2 floor substitutes.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Serville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill go by for the day and speak to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple of changes that the Attorney General's office has asked for to deal with a couple of pending cases which weren't dealt with in the bill, and I think there's still some folks that are pondering what they're going to do with this, and I'm going to ask that it go by just one more day, but we will get it done. We will debate this bill tomorrow. Just want to make sure everybody's clear about that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the Senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 1165 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 1170, a bill relating to local sales and use tax to support schools. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading for final passage.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1106, a bill relating to the establishment of the Public School Assistance Fund and Program. Reported for the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute, and there are 2 floor amendments.
Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now yield to the senior senator from the city of Richmond.
Senior Senator from the city of Richmond, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senior Senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we waive the reading of the floor amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. Senior Senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adopt the floor amendments in a block.
Thank the Senator. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. As this bill was originally introduced, it established a public school assistance fund and program for the purposes of funding the replacement or repair of school roofs. In the committee, we expanded this to include other types of major repairs that could occur, such as HVAC systems or plumbing repairs that could be too large for a school division to fund on their own. After discussing with Senate Finance, we thought we should probably put some parameters around the size of such repair, so that they're not seeking funds to just, something minor. So what the floor amendments do is put some parameters around the type of grants that would go to large repairs of plumbing systems or HVAC or something like that. And it also would say that the fund could be used for the purpose of financing major renovations as well.
Thank the Senator. Question is, shall the floor amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendments are adopted. Senior Senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1390, a bill relating to cats, trap, neuter, and return programs, civil penalty. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with amendments, and there is a floor amendment.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, I'd move the committee amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move waive reading of the floor amendment.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendment be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendment is waived. Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the floor amendment be adopted. And speaking to that,
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, members of the body, what the Senator from Accomack's bill does is it allows groups of people in the state to organize and go out and trap cats and neuter them and then turn them loose again. And I know they have a program in Fairfax that works very well and they're very pleased with it, but I'm not so sure that that model works well in the rest of the state. And while certainly if an animal shelter does it and organizes it, that's one thing. If you look at the Senator's bill, it allows any releasing agency, hospital, clinic, or animal shelter. Well, releasing agency is almost anything. Almost any group that is loosely organized could be a releasing agency. The bill does not define hospital or clinic, so I'm not exactly sure what is contemplated there, but the problem is this. At least where I come from, if you go around taking people's cats, that could cause a controversy. I'm not a cat lover, quite frankly. I love dogs. But these people are going to put traps out, and they're going to catch cats. It's specifically community cats, and catch them and neuter them and then turn them loose again. At a minimum, we should require an ordinance by the Board of Supervisors or the City Council or whatever the governing authority is in that location before we go allowing groups of people to trap people's cats. So that's what the amendment does. It simply says that local body's got to adopt an ordinance before they let groups of people do that. I hope you'll adopt the ordinance. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Speaking to the floor amendment, Mr.
Senator's the
President.
floor.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, I hope the body would reject the floor amendment. And let me just say I have great respect for the senator from King George, for his devotion to property rights, and I welcome his focus of property rights now on the cat world. But I know what he's after, and I know what he's concerned about, and I know what is the fundamental basis for his amendment. He is worried about Aunt Sally's tabby, and he's worried about Aunt Sally's tabby on a Saturday night by the dumpster, getting shanghaied, and coming back to Aunt Sally Sunday morning, spayed, neutered, damaged. That concern is gravely misplaced. We have had these programs operating now for over 10 years in Fairfax County, many years in Lynchburg, Charlottesville, Richmond, and assorted smaller communities across the Commonwealth, without incidents, without Aunt Sally's tabby being shanghaied. And so while conceivably that could happen, if you've ever seen a community cat or a feral cat, you know the difference between that cat and Aunt Sally's tabby. So the danger, while I appreciate your concerns, again, they are misplaced. And the damage the floor amendment would do is this. We have large jurisdictions throughout this Commonwealth that have had these programs in place for a number of years and have been very, very successful. Fairfax is probably the prime example. But there are other communities, even on the Eastern Shore, there are trap, neuter, and return programs in operation. Incidentally, releasing agency is defined in the bill, and that's a definition that's not new language, but has been in the bill for some time, and that is a public animal shelter, private animal shelter, humane society, animal welfare organization, Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or other similar entity or home-based rescue that releases companion animals for adoption. So that is defined rather tightly in the existing code, of which these changes will be a part. But the purpose of the bill was to let communities know there was some debate within communities, localities, as to whether or not these things could operate, these trap, neuter, return programs could operate in their localities. And number two, to close some loopholes that cause concerns, because when they had a volunteer, they would have to, who would be returning the cat, then that could conceivably be argued to be abandonment. So that, and we'll get into the gravamen of the bill tomorrow on third read, but this would undermine the real purpose of the bill, because again, you're going to have localities that have these large, ongoing, successful programs. They're going to have to feel like they have to enact ordinances. You're going to have other localities that want to have these programs operating within the confines of the locality. They're going to be reluctant to do so because they're going to have to listen to the same thing we've had to listen to here for the last 8 years. Every time we talk about trap, neuter, and release or return. And it has been an ongoing debate here for many, many years. And so what this bill does is seek to put a period to that sentence, at least here in Richmond, and allow these localities to operate these successful programs. And they're not forbidden right now, Mr. President, under existing law, from doing this by ordinance, should they choose to do so, and should they choose to have the ordinance writing process and have all the public comment that's attendant with it. So for those reasons, I think it's really going to have a chilling effect on what is and has proven to be a very successful program for dealing with this very significant problem across the Commonwealth. One that the status quo is simply not sufficient to deal with, and will encourage these. And so the Senator's amendment, while I appreciate his intent, is going to have the opposite effect as far as propagating these successful trap, neuter, and return programs. So with that, Mr. President, I would ask the body to reject the floor amendment.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley, rise?
Rise to speak to the floor amendment.
Senator, it's the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I have enjoyed my good friend, the senator from King George, his love of nature. I've enjoyed when he stood up here and tried to talk common sense to us. And then I heard this floor amendment and heard his speech about it, and I now have seen that common sense has abandoned him entirely. I believe, and I mean that with peace and love, Mr. President, peace and love. But I must say that he is obviously a dog man. He doesn't have cats. Because, I mean, first, number one, have you ever heard a cat that's not been fixed when they're not fixed? I mean, they warble, they scream. There's not a person on the planet that doesn't fix their cats and leaves them outside. If you got a cat and you want to have, and you want it to mate, it stays inside, I can tell you that. Ladies and gentlemen, what he's saying is that, picture this, sneaking around, wait until the lights go out at the Stewart Mansion. We're going to sneak up because we know he's got a cat in there and it needs to be neutered. There's a lot of people in this room right now that we should be trap neutering and returning. Maybe even the senator from King George, but we won't be trap neutering and returning his cat. These community cats, and perhaps he's confused about the word community. The community cats mean that they're feral and that they usually start out being abandoned at green boxes and dumps. And so then they become feral and they procreate and they grow in numbers and grow in numbers. And then in order to get food, they kill our birds, songbirds, so people have problems with that. This stops that. This stops the overpopulation of these community cats. Okay? And so what I hope the senator from King George understands is this is actually going to help, what we have out there and try to stop the overpopulation rather than quite frankly, taking his cat and spaying it. So I do hope that you resist this floor amendment. Right meow.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, the senator from Rockingham, Sir Obenshain, rise.
Mr. President, I am so confused. I thought that the senator from Franklin County was actually from Franklin County, but apparently he hails more from Fairfax County because he does not demonstrate any familiarity with the idea that there are barn cats. And I can tell you, in my part of the world, there are people who count on these barn cats to take care of the rodents and critters that are infesting their barns, and they count on those barn cats to reproduce. And when those barn cats just disappear, it creates a real problem for real farmers and real people from rural Virginia. And I would also add that I'm further confused because I was contacted by the group supporting this bill, and they swore to me up one side and down the other that I was crazy because I didn't read this as a local option bill. That is all that Senator Stewart's bill amendment seeks to do, is exactly what advocates for this bill told me it already does. So I think that this bill, this amendment is a good amendment for rural Virginia, for barn cats out there who are living free. And we want to protect the freedom of those farmers and those barn cats, so I would hope that the members would vote for this amendment.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. For you all who don't know me very well, I'm a cat person. I have actually had my own feral cat that I adopted and had her trap spayed and released back to my house where I took responsibility, but there's no way she would have come in the house. These are wild kitties, and I don't know if you all are familiar with how often they can procreate, as our good friend from downstate just mentioned, but we're talking 3 to 5 litters of 5 cats each. And I think we all know that, when we have one kitty who quickly turns into 25 kitties, that's even a lot for a barn. My mama lives in rural Alabama, which is similar to many of these small towns that we're talking about. She has 8 cats that she's had trapped, spayed, and released who live in her neighborhood. She still feeds them. She still takes care of them. I think it would be incumbent upon whoever does this to take some responsibility. However, I believe that this is in the best interest of the kitties and of the communities, and I hope that we'll turn down this floor amendment.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Speak briefly to the bill.
Senator, the floor.
As chair of the mighty Companion Animal Subcommittee of the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources, I want to assure Senator Obenshain that anybody in his district with the number of guns that are out there, I don't think anybody's going to be coming into a private barn and trying to trap and neuter and release his cats. So this is an important measure, Mr. President. We have got to see if this works statewide, reduce this animal population. There's disease involved here, rabies, any number of things that can be passed on to domestic animals. It's time we made a commitment to find out whether this works. The early indications are in a number of places that it does. Let's not put barriers in front of it like local options. Let's get this done. Thank you.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding the floor amendment? Seeing none, the question is, shall the floor amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. The floor amendment fails. Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, I move that the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Senator, the question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1138, a bill relating to sexually transmitted infections, infected sexual battery, repeal. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Senator from Hampton, Senior Senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could that bill go by for the day?
Without objection, Senate Bill 1138 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 1178, a bill relating to genetic counseling conscience clause, reported from the Committee on Education and Health.
Senator from Alexandria, Senator Evan.
Move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1180, a bill relating to civil actions filed on behalf of multiple persons, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute, and there are 2 floor amendments.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move to waive reading of the floor amendments.
Does the senator want to move the committee sub first?
Sure, that's probably a better idea. I move the committee substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now renew my motion to waive reading of the floor amendment.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move the floor amendment and speaking to that, floor
Senator,
amendments and speaking to that motion.
Senator's the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this bill basically authorizes class action lawsuits in Virginia. You might remember it from last year. The floor amendments, if you don't like the bill, might make you like it a little better. They were requested by some folks in the business community. And what it basically does is we incorporate some select provisions of the Class Action Fairness Act, which was a federal law, into the rules that the Supreme Court is to promulgate. Having said that, I'm happy to answer any other questions, but I'd move that we, again, renew my motion that we pass the floor amendments.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall the floor amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendments are adopted. Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1198, a bill relating to Government Data Collection and Dissemination Practices Act, license plate readers, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with amendments.
Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speak to the measure. Mr. President, I would move that this bill go by for the day. We're still working on a substitute to kind of pull in a lot of loose threads, so this bill could go by for the day prior to a vote.
Thank the Senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 1198 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 1215, a bill relating to Virginia Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, tenant remedies for exclusion from dwelling unit, interruptions of services, or actions taken to make premises unsafe. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with amendment.
Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
First, I move that we waive the reading of the committee amendment.
The Senator could just move the committee amendment.
I move the committee amendment.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is adopted. Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1235, a bill related to Department of Health, certain communication prohibited. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendments.
Senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peake.
I move the committee amendment, Mr. President.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peake.
I now ask that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its next reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1266, a bill relating to admission to bail, rebuttal presumptions against bail. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with an amendment.
Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, I move that the committee amendment be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to. Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, I move that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1287, a bill relating to the Charitable Gaming Board regulations, electronic pull tabs. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute.
Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Mr. President, I move the substitute be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third read.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1303, a bill to direct each local school division in the Commonwealth to make in-person learning available to all students. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health, and there are two floor amendments.
Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Waive the reading of the floor amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we accept the floor amendments and speak to those amendments.
Senator, is the floor.
The first amendment, Mr. President, is an amendment that was introduced in committee and was the subject of the conversation of committee, but never actually got placed on the bill. And so it just adds virtual and in person so that both would be offered. And the second amendment, Mr. President, strikes the emergency clause. And I move that we accept the amendments.
Thank the Senator. Question is, shall the floor amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendments are adopted. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that we engross and advance this bill to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 1317, a bill relating to local school boards' open enrollment policy required. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health.
Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we engross this bill and advance it to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, should the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1325, a bill relating to visitation, petition of grandparent. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute.
Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we accept the committee substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that we engross and advance this bill to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, should the bill be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 1381, a bill relating to possessing or transporting a weapon within Capitol Square or into a building owned or leased by the Commonwealth penalty. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute.
Senator from Alexandria, Senator Evan.
I move the committee substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from Alexandria, Senator Evan.
I move SB 1381 be advanced and engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1384, a bill relating to the Virginia Public Procurement Act local arbitration agreements. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology. There is a floor amendment and a floor substitute.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could that bill go by for the day so we can do a little more work on it?
Without objection, Senate Bill 1384 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 1439, a bill relating to the Department of Education guidelines on excused student absences, civic or political engagement. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendment.
Senior Senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could that bill go by for the day for purposes of a floor amendment?
Without objection, Senate Bill 1439 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 1468, a bill relating to certifications for victims of qualifying criminal activity. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed in advance. Adopt the committee substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now I move the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on first reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that all Senate bills on first reading on the uncontested and regular calendar, that's pages 29 through 32, Senate Bill 1260 through 1474, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading be dispensed with, of the titles be dispensed with.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules... Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, parliamentary inquiry.
Senator's the floor.
Mr. President, are we waiving the first reading bills at this time?
Yes.
Mr. President, with your concurrence and the senior senator from Fairfax, I would like to remove a bill from the block. Mr. President.
Okay, which page are you on, Senator?
Yes, sir. On page 32, Senate Bill 1474. Mr. President, I'd like to be removed from the block.
That was 1474?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Page 32. Thank you, Senator. Okay. Question is, shall the rules be suspended in the first reading of the titles of the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 29 through 32, Senate Bill 1260 through Senate Bill 1474, be dispensed with the exception of Senate Bill 1474. All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 0.
Ayes 37, noes 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I now move that Senate Bill 1474 on page 32 be committed to the Committee on Finance.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 1474 be re-referred to the Committee on Finance? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 1474 is re-referred to the Committee on Finance. Question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on second reading go by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, Senate Joint Resolution on third reading. Senate Joint Resolution 327, confirming appointments by the governor of certain persons communicated to the General Assembly January 24, 2021.
Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, I move adoption of the resolution or passage of the resolution, and I'd like to speak to that briefly.
Senator has the floor.
This resolution, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, is simply the last batch of the governor's appointments that I believe will see this session. Again, I move its passage.
Thank the Senator. Question is, shall Senate Joint Resolution 327 be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 0.
Ayes 38, noes 0. Senate Joint Resolution 327 is agreed to.
Uncontested calendar, Senate Joint Resolutions on first reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that all Senate joint resolutions on the first reading on the uncontested calendar, that's page 33, SJR 288 through SJR 323, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first reading of the titles of the Senate Joint Resolutions on the uncontested calendar, page 33, Senate Joint Resolution 288 through Senate Joint Resolution 323 be waived? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The reading of the titles is waived. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that those Senate joint resolutions go by for the day.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the Senate joint resolutions on the uncontested calendar now on second reading go by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolutions will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar. Senate resolution on first reading. Senate Resolution 95, supporting the establishment of a commemorative commission to honor Booker T. Washington with the statue in the old Senate chamber. Returning to page 1, House Bill 2333. The committee sub has been adopted by the Senate, and there are 2 floor amendments. We have waived the reading of the first floor amendment.
Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would you like me to waive the reading of the Second Amendment or speak to the first?
Let's waive the reading of the second, Senator, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. Please waive the reading of the Second Amendment.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the second floor amendment also be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the second floor amendment is waived. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. And to clarify my remarks from earlier, this is the bill with which we are all familiar, and essentially the bill we passed out of the Senate a week ago. It is in a slightly rearranged format with amendments that were acceptable from the House. And in the process of aligning these 2 bills on both sides, an amendment was neglected to be added to the House version, which we are adding today. That amendment does not change at all the certification or permissibility for any emergency medical services licensee to provide the vaccine. All it does is it allows localities to designate not only full-time employment rescue squads or fire stations, but also those that are volunteer. So it's really about location, and that speaks to the question we had earlier. And finally, a word was noted to be absent on line 120 in the clause that speaks about immunity for FOR was neglected to be placed after, I believe it's little I. And those are the amendments, Mr. President. I move that we accept the amendments.
Thank the Senator. Question is, shall the floor amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendments are adopted. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would now request that the body approve this bill and send it on its way for signature so that we can absolutely make a difference in the vaccination process for Virginia and speed that up.
Thank the Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2333? Seeing none, the question is, shall what purpose does the Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howell, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. We're having a debate here and can't quite determine, does it at this point have an emergency clause or not? Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr.
Senator
President.
from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Yes, Mr. President, it does have an emergency clause.
Yes. Any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2333? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2333 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Norman, how do you vote?
Senator Norman votes aye.
Senator Vogel, how did you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Senator Saslaw, how did you vote?
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. House Bill 2333 passes. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I inquire of the clerk, does that complete the calendar?
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, for what purpose is Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. An inquiry.
Senator, the floor.
What is the current status of Senate Resolution 95?
It'll be on second reading
Yield
tomorrow.
second. Oh, go ahead, Madam Clerk, sir. Do you hear?
I'm sorry. I think there was crosstalk.
Yeah,
and I
go ahead,
could
Madam
not
Clerk,
hear.
sorry.
It'll be on second reading tomorrow.
Thank you very much, both to Mr. President and Madam Clerk. Appreciate it.
Thank the Senator. For what purpose is the Senator from Hampton, Senator Locke, rise?
Mr. President, I rise on a point of personal privilege.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is February 1st, the first day of African American History Month. And I would like to share with my colleagues some information from the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And this organization was founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who was a native Virginian. And it was founded in 1915. And the theme for African American History Month this year is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. The Black family has been a topic of study in many disciplines. Its representation, identity, and diversity have been reverenced, stereotyped, and vilified from the days of slavery to today. The Black family knows no single location, since family reunions and genetic ancestry searches testify to the spread of family members across states, nations, and continents. Not only are individual Black families diasporic, but Africa and the diaspora itself have been long portrayed as the family at large. While the role of the Black family has been described by some as a microcosm of the entire race, its complexity as the foundation of African American life and history can be seen in numerous debates over how to represent its meaning and typicality from a historical perspective, as slave or free, as patriarchal or matriarchal, matrifocal, as single-headed or dual-headed household, as extended or nuclear, as fictive kin or blood lineage, as legal or common law, and as Black or interracial, and so forth. Variation appears as well in discussions on the nature and impact of parenting, childhood, marriage, gender norms, sexuality, and mass incarceration. The family offers a rich tapestry of images for exploring the African American past and present. So, Mr. President, I'd like to offer a short story on why this theme is so important. I was asked a question when I was presenting a bill in education and health on cultural competency and why cultural competency was important for teachers and educators. I talk about my niece a lot because she lives in my house. And when she was in middle school, she was given an assignment to do her family tree back 6 generations. I was incensed. So why was I incensed? Because how could she trace her family back 6 generations as an African American child? Had her teacher been culturally competent, she would have known why something was wrong with that assignment for an African American child. Because her ancestors were stolen from Africa, brought across the Middle Passage, lost their names, sold, families torn apart. So it was difficult to trace a family back 6 generations. So how many other people in her classroom could trace back families 6 generations? Now, this little black child was fortunate because of the tenacity of a cousin, who had been able to trace back our family for several generations. And also because the McMahon family remained on the same plantation in Alabama for several generations. So we, on our mother's side, have been able to trace back to actually a 5th grandmother who had been born in Tennessee in the late 1700s. Yeah. So she was able to do that on my mother's side. She was also able to trace back on her father's side because he was born in Kenya, and it's Kenya, not Kenya. Yeah. So, and because they used griots to do oral histories of their families. So her father was able to tell her about that generation and tracing back. So she was able to find out that that side of her family was actually from the same village as Barack Obama's ancestors. Yeah. So, but how many other kids in that classroom were not able to do that? So that's what cultural competence means. The ability to be able to understand someone else's shoes and be able to walk in those shoes. Somebody else's ancestry. So, Mr. President, I hope that this Black History Month, we will all take the opportunity to understand cultural competence, representation, identity, and diversity, and walk in someone else's shoes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator D. Steph, rise?
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Good afternoon, Senator.
I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Senator, it's the floor.
Mr. President, he said, success in life is the result of several factors. My formula is simply education plus motivation plus perseverance. In recognition of Black History Month, I've chosen to shrine a spotlight on Samuel L. Gravely, Jr., who made history as an African-American pioneer in the United States Navy. He was also a native Virginian, born right here in our capital city of Richmond. And earning a degree from Virginia Union University, Gravely served 38 years in the Navy from 1942 to 1980. He was a veteran of World War II, the Korean War, and Vietnam War. His naval career was filled with accomplishments. He became the first African American to command a U.S. Navy warship, the USS Chandler. He was the first African American to command an American warship under combat conditions, the USS Tausig. The first African American to command a major naval warship, the USS Joint. He was also the first African American to command a Navy fleet. He He repeatedly became the highest-ranking African American in the Navy, ultimately becoming a 3-star admiral. During his distinguished career, he was awarded the Legion of Merit, the Bronze Star, Meritorious Service Medal, and several Navy Commendation Medals. Vice Admiral Gravely passed away October 22, 2004, and was interned in America's most hallowed grounds at Arlington National Cemetery. During his internment service, Vice Admiral David L. Brewer III said, "If I were a sculptor and were asked to build a model human being, I would chisel a sculpture of Admiral Gravely." I really was sincere when I said he was a giant, a vanguard, and a master, because he stood so tall for all of us during the storms of racial change in our Navy. He really illuminated a light of service for all of us. Rear Admiral Andy Wins was just one of the many flag officers who attended the internment who pointed out that Gravely strived to mentor and promote excellence in all junior officers without regard to race or gender. Admiral Wynn said, "Vice Admiral Gravely was an inspiration not only to African Americans, but to all naval officers aspiring to be the best they could ever be. To this day, I think he's still an inspiration to all of us. Just an absolutely wonderful officer, a gentleman, and a Christian. As an American, a Virginian, a naval veteran, I'm proud to share this brief reflection of a man who lived up to the highest ideals of the Navy's core values: honor, courage, and commitment." Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For purposes, the senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw, rise.
Mr. President, just a little update on how we're doing with respect to vaccinations.
Senator's the floor.
You know, we were down pretty low, as was pointed out before. We've made a vast improvement, and I just want to give you a few numbers. We got a ways to go, but we've gotten a lot better. Virginia is 5th in the nation in the number of vaccine doses administered per day, despite being the 12th largest state population-wise. More than 8% of Virginia's population has received at least one dose, which puts us 12th amongst the states. Every state ahead of us is significantly smaller, and they also had a lot less even per 100,000. More of our population has been vaccinated than our neighbors of North Carolina, Maryland, Tennessee, and Kentucky. We're 14th in the nation now in the percent of vaccines used out of what's been distributed to the state, again, higher than all of our neighbors. Right now, we're doing an average of 33,500 shots a day. That's more than triple where we were 3 weeks ago, and more than 84% of the doses that have been distributed to Virginia are now in people's arms. So we do have a ways to go, no question about it, but the state's working on it, and conditions have improved considerably.
Thank the senator. What purpose is the junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Senator's the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of this body, the following story involves elements of mandatory minimum sentences, parole, second chance in life, and conditional pardons. There's a gentleman by the name of Coker Nicholas Robinson, known as Nick or Nicky. There's currently a petition out that's been signed by 100,000 people. Briefly, let me share his story. In 2008, Nick participated in a robbery with several adults. He was 15 years old. They went to a party where there were several people there, and those people were robbed of money. No one was hurt. There was no loaded weapon, but they did threaten him with weapons. He was the juvenile. There were several adults. Everybody was arrested. The adults combined got a total of 17 years in jail. Nick's attorney, thinking that any plea of guilty to the use of a firearm in the commission of a felony would be run concurrent, pled him guilty to the robbery charges. All of the robbery charges, he was given a suspended sentence. After all, he was 15 and wasn't as culpable as some of the adults. However, because of the mandatory minimum sentences, he received 7 convictions for use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. So he received 3 years, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and 5, for a total of 33 years. He was sentenced at age 15 to 33 years in jail. He has served, at this point, was convicted in 2008. He has served 12 and a half years in prison. Now, since he's been in prison, remember, he went in as a 15-year-old. He's been a model inmate. He earned his GED and successfully completed a program in brick masonry apprenticeship. He also received an OSHA certificate, a National Construction Certificate, an academic tutoring certificate, a reentry peer support mentorship, a Thinking for Change certificate, a victim impact certificate, the think tank certificate, and he's currently enrolled at Washington Lee University taking courses in mass communication. He has been institutional free for 7 years. He has a viable home plan, a supportive family, and like I said, there are 100,000 people that have signed a signature asking the governor to grant him a conditional pardon. Now, I ask you, Mr. President, members of this body, somebody like that went into jail at 15, and thankfully to Senator Marsden's bill last year, a gentleman like that may become eligible for parole. But those mandatory minimum sentences require him to serve 33 years. Also, consider the following. The cost per year per inmate is a fixed cost of $22,000 a year, and if you add capital costs into it, it's anywhere between $30,000 and $40,000. I would ask, does the Commonwealth of Virginia benefit by incarcerating Nick for another 21 years at a cost of $40,000 a year? Or, based on the fact that this young man was 15 when he committed this, had no prior criminal record, do we think that this person warrants parole, perhaps a conditional pardon, a second chance in life, and should we not reevaluate mandatory minimum sentences? Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Today, Monday, February 1st, the Committee on Commerce and Labor will meet 15 minutes after adjournment, West Committee Room. The Finance and Appropriations Special Subcommittee on Tax Conformity will meet immediately upon adjournment of the Committee on Commerce and Labor in the West Committee Room. Senators Barker, Howell, Newman, Locke, and Peterson. The Finance and Appropriations Subcommittee on Health and Human Resources will meet at 4 p.m. East Committee Room. Senators Howell, Hanger, Vogel, Barker, Deeds, Eben, and McClellan. The Judiciary Subcommittee on Civil Law will meet at 4 p.m. in the Senate Chamber. Senators Peterson, Lucas, Norman, Obenshain, Surville, and Boysko. Tomorrow, Tuesday, February 2nd, the Finance and Appropriations Subcommittee on Economic Development and Natural Resources will meet at 7:30 a.m. West Committee Room. Senators Marsden, Ruff, Howell, Saslaw, Hanger, and Barker. The Finance and Appropriations Subcommittee on General Government will meet at 7:30 a.m. in the Senate Chamber. Senators Peterson, Newman, Lucas, Vogel, Locke, and Eben. The Education and Health Subcommittee on Health Professions will meet at 8 a.m. East Committee Room. Senators Barker, Saslaw, Newman, Edwards, Lewis, Donovan, Suderline, and Pillion. The Committee on Finance and Appropriations will meet at 9 a.m. West Committee Room. The Democratic Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in the Democratic Caucus Room. The Republican caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in the Republican caucus room, and there are 13 shopping days left.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, I call on the senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 12 noon tomorrow.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.